stuff like that about cooling towers, boilers.
Yeah, I'm excited for him. I mean, geez, he's talked about this for years that he wanted to get into this, and finally, it dawned on me. I'm like, actually, that's probably a really good idea. So, I'm like, actually, that's probably a really good idea. So,
I'm gonna mute Discord for a second. I need to test these sounds to see if I can hear them on stream. I'm gonna mute Discord for a second. I need to test these sounds to see if I can hear them on stream. I'm gonna mute Discord for a second. I need to test these. Nice. Okay, it works. A little loud. We're gonna turn it down a little bit. All right, I'm back.
I lucked out, man. I was too fat to fit in the hatch for the cooling tower, so they made the other guy do it.
That's funny.
Like, this thing is small though, man. Like, the hole is like the size of your steering wheel. I'm like, dude, I can't even get my leg through that.
it's
And
just standing there.
the
Yeah,
guy they
I'm gonna
made the
pass.
guy they made do it too was like the lead engineer. He's been there for like 30 years. And I was there for like a year at that time, if that.
You're not kidding about that $27 level on PLTR to hit it and it won't go
It
past.
doesn't like it. Yep. Sorry, I gotta test 2 more sounds. I'll be right back. Sorry, if you guys are watching stream, I just got some like little animations made for stream. I just gotta test that they work. For some reason, I can't hear them unless I'm on my stream. For some reason, I can't hear them unless I'm on my stream. Sorry, you're getting a little bit of a streamception here. For some reason, I can't hear them unless I'm on my stream. Sorry, you're getting a little bit of a stream. Okay, so that one works. Let me test this one. Exception here. For some reason, I can't hear them unless I'm on my stream. Sorry, you're getting a little bit of a stream. Okay, so that one works. Let me test this one. Okay, so that one works. Let me test this one. Alright, nice. They work. I'm gonna turn them down a little bit. They're a little loud. What's going on, Poncho? Alright, I'm back. Sorry.
You're a bit.
Space is still going. Look at that. Alright, 1 second, guys. I gotta black out my stream for a sec. Forgot to close all the shit that I'm supposed to close before I get on stream. As you guys can tell, I'm fucking a little scattered today. All right, there we go. How are those space lottos doing? There were July 2nd. Let me see. What were they? July 2nd. July 2nd, 49s. They're above 1,000 already. 1,015. Jesus. They came in at 350. They came in at 3. What were those in the money ones? Today's expiration 48. How are those doing? They're at $9. They came in at 557. So that guy's getting paid. What's going on, Coca? Yeah, Poncho, sorry, he was muted, he couldn't hear you. Or he couldn't hear me. He's driving to work right now. Alright, so let's do a recap. So if you guys didn't see the tweets that I made today, Space is on absolute fire. Up 41%, massive volume. It's the number one volume mover today. It's the number one mover on the day for big companies. I don't know what the news was. I saw there was news. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but they had big news today, so that's why they're moving. What else did we have? We had Nike had really good earnings. They popped up really hard on earnings. They're up 15%, which is massive for a company like Nike. Another big mover was, where was it? Fubo. Fubo had a nice little move today. The target that we were looking for on Fubo is around 35, so that target has been hit. Next target I would look at on that is around 38. A few other names that we've mentioned on stream a few times that are running. ZIM, I gave you guys that yesterday. Had a nice little day today. American Eagle continuing upward. American Eagle, like I said, once it finds a trend, it typically likes to stay in that trend for some time. So American Eagle's doing very well. Most likely going to keep going as well. The weekly close is extremely strong. It's engulfing the past 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, basically 9, 10 weeks. So past 2 months are being engulfed by 1 week. 16% week that it's had already. So very likely going to keep going. So keep an eye on that. What else did we have? Target has a small breakout continuation as well. Let's see. Dash had a nice little bounce off that daily pivot. So anything above 173 looks pretty good. Next target is 187. SSTI continuing as well. Anything above 45 is pretty strong on that. A little bit of a pullback on AMC. All the meme stocks kind of pulling back a little bit. GameStop, BlackBerry also pulling back. BlackBerry pulling back on earnings, actually. There were puts that came in yesterday. That guy's getting paid a little bit. We had all-time high on SPY, all-time high on Qs. Actually, not today. All-time high yesterday on Qs. No continuation today, though. Most likely will continue next week, but you probably could come back to fill the gap before you push higher. So keep an eye on that. We do have a gap below us, right around like 348. We also have a gap below us on SPY at like 425 and 423. And then we have those really far gaps, like 400. Coca said, I trade Bitcoin and getting wrecked up and down. I'm considering stocks. What do you think? Yeah, man, Bitcoin's been pretty rough lately. We switch back and forth a lot. Like I traded crypto a lot a few months ago when it was booming. But once it started dying, I just went back to stocks and options. I think it's a good idea to have a good mix of both. If you can trade both, I definitely think it's worth it to do both. I haven't opened my crypto account. Like literally, I have not logged into my FTX account in weeks. So sometimes you just don't have to look at it. You just let it sit and buy the dips if you want. Dollar cost average. Hold on to your positions for 6 months to a year plus, and typically you'll He'll do a lot better in crypto just holding on. Elon's going public with SpaceX soon. Are you just kidding? Yeah, I don't think he will. I don't think he'll ever go public with that. Crocs is moving. What's their ticker? There we go. Yeah, nice little breakout on Crocs. I like these rounded bottoms that it put in. Little rounded bottom here. Then you have that V reversal. Not too bad. I love that weekly. That weekly's clean. Little ascending triangle here. Broke the pivot at 108. And then we're bouncing off that. So, not looking too bad. Pretty much anything that I've mentioned on Cheddar Flow recently is doing very well. The calls that were coming in, they're all getting paid. Micron, they bought the bottom on that. There's the 50-day bounce. So what do we say? We said you could bounce up here, hit the 50-day, find some resistance, and then put in that head of the bulldog, and then maybe push higher. So this pullback here, if it does pull back, it's not going to be that bearish. So don't be too worried if this pulls back. If it stays above, I'd say like $80, this could be a very bullish pullback. Clove, that paid out already. Etsy, they got their target on that. Baidu had a nice day today too. I think Baidu's just getting started. I think Baidu could very easily get to like 225, 250 within the next few weeks. If you look at a lot of charts that look like this, where we had that blow-off run back in 2020, early 21, and then we started to sell off and accumulate, all those charts that are starting to break their 50-day moving average and starting to kind of uptrend, they're not small moves. Like, it's not just uptrending and then failing. These moves are being sustained for a very big percentage of the down move, right? So I think this could easily get to 240, 250. A lot of resistance, like 217, 230. Then we have a gap target right around 239. That would be nice. Once we get through all that, like long term, we're looking at like 300. There's pivots up there that we could very easily test. The weekly chart on Baidu is one of my favorite charts right now. The weekly has a bull div. It's also bouncing off the 50-week moving average. So once this reclaims the 21, this should easily start to climb to like 250 to 300 long term. So keep an eye on Baidu. It had a lot of call flow the past few days. Not sure if it had any today. Did it have any today? Let's see. No, I don't see any today. But it did have a lot before. If I go to historical here, we can look at Baidu. Yeah, look at all this flow coming in. So we filter this by premium. The biggest ones are Leaps 230 for January. We have 197s for July 16th, 200s, 205s. A lot of 200s and 205s. Basically anywhere from the next 2 weeks to 4 weeks. Getting a lot of flow. So definitely keep an eye on that. Let me keep up with chat here. Thoughts on Atos from yesterday. Atos had a massive call flow come in. We called this out in Discord. Oh, look at that move. There you go. If any of you guys took that Atos position that I called out yesterday, look at that move all the way up to $10, 23%. What were those options? Let me go check the channel. Right here, Atos $14 calls for 716. Let's take a look at those. Atos 716 $14 calls. They came in yesterday at about $1.50. Yeah, $1.50 about. They spiked all the way up to 250, so close to 100% on those. Your mic's loud again, Jamie.
Fuck.
They spiked to 250, so almost $100 gain per contract. Now they're back down to 150. So those pulled back a little bit. So I'd say that trade is pretty much over, Chad. I think I called those out on stream too, so I think you guys had the opportunity to trade that if you weren't in Discord. What do the little upward blue arrows mean? Those are from the Oasis Trading Suite. They are buy the dip signals. So if something's pulling back to support and then bouncing off of it, it gives a buy the dip signal. And the orange ones are sell the rally. Is Baba breaking out? Let's take a look. Yes, it is. Yep. So if we look at this on a long time scale, I think this is a weekly chart. Yeah, this weekly here. If you look at this trend line here, we're breaking out. It's actually a beautiful weekly chart. That's not bad. Dime was talking about this. It also had some call flow as well. It's not a bad chart. If you're trading the weekly, a little bit of resistance at 228, 235. Main target would be 250. If you're trading the daily, basically the same thing. 232, and then like 240. The buy the dip signal on Crocs was good. Let's take a look. Yeah, all these signals were pretty good. These were a little choppy because of the range, but typically when it's uptrending, they're very accurate. If you guys follow my Twitter, I gave you guys a big money play today. I called out these space lottos in Discord around $3. I called them out a little later on Twitter. I called them out around $6 on Twitter. They ran to like 1,100. So they started at 300. I alerted them at 600 on the Twitter, and then they ran to like 1,100. I think was their top. They're still running. Look at this thing. I try to give you guys a little bit of action on Twitter. It's typically a lot later than what I post in Discord. But every now and then I'll post some stuff on Twitter. So make sure you guys follow on Twitter. Yeah, those contracts right now are going for $10.25. They were alerted at $3. Reason I alerted those, if we go to this right here, look at this call flow coming in. You see the repeat call flow? Big orders too, 300K, 300K, 150, 180, 300. These things are big money. These are very unusual too. When you see stuff like this, so the spot price is $54, right? If you see calls that come in below 54, that means they're coming in the money. And when contracts are in the money, that means their delta is very high. When their delta is very high, that means that per dollar move, those contracts are going to move rapidly. So like these, they had a delta of, oh, it's not going to show me now because they're a little old. Let me see what they are on here. 80 delta. Or no, those are the other ones. Let me see. These are 96 delta, so very, very high. Delta can't go higher than 100. So anything over like 50 delta is pretty high. So if people buy contracts and their delta's like 70 to 90, that means they have very high confidence in that trade. They think that trade is going to go that direction. So if they're calls, they think that trade is going to continue upward. If it's puts, they think it's going to go down. So if you see anything come in that's very heavily in the money, they know something typically. They're not just like lottos. They're not just taking a shot in the dark. They have insider information, or they just know something on the side. But those contracts typically pay pretty heavily. One of the other big ones we saw recently that was very in the money was CCIV. CCIV, let me see if I can pull those up. So look at these contracts. Look at this size on these things. 4.4 million, 700K, 650, 640. The spot price is $23 to $25. They bought the 1250 strike. That is like extremely far in the money. That's astronomically far in the money. So the only reason that you would buy something like that is, one, if you wanted to get exercised and you don't really care about the money you're putting into the premium. So like he put in 4.4 million just into those August 20th ones. If he gets exercised, if he wants to exercise those for shares, that money just vanishes. That money just you lose all that money. But he gets to keep 100 shares times every contract. So if he has 4,000 contracts here, he times that by 100. So for just that one lot, if he exercised that, he would get 400,000 shares at $12.50. Right? So $5 million would be the value of that. And he had multiple orders too. He had 3 more right here. So if he wanted to exercise all these, he's getting a lot of shares. Now the other reason you would do that, not to get exercised, is if you have high confidence in the trade. So like if you are almost certain it's going to go your direction, you want to buy very far in the money because the delta is higher, so you get paid for being right. So like if your delta is 96, per dollar that it moves, you'll make $96 per contract. But that also goes the other way. Like if you have high confidence in the trade and it goes against you, you're going to get slaughtered.
When did he buy those, Deja?
Yesterday, I believe. Let me see. Yesterday, yep. Yesterday and the day before. Another reason you would buy that deep in the money is if you had insider information, you knew there was like a news announcement coming out, you're going to get paid fat if that news announcement goes your way. Basically, if you ever see something very far in the money, you can almost guarantee it's very heavily done by insider trading. Because no person that doesn't have inside information, they would not put that much money into a far in the money contract like that. No, he's not hoping that CCIV goes to 1250. He's buying the 1250 calls. So if he wanted to exercise his contracts, he would get the shares at 1250. He just wants it to go up. He doesn't want it to go to 1250. That would be if you bought 1250 puts. You would want it to go down to 1250.
What if he sold those 1250 calls?
He could have sold them. Yeah, he could have sold them. But I looked at the chart, and I can pull it up on stream here. It doesn't look like he's selling them because the price continues to go up. And if he was selling those contracts, it would be like suppressing the contracts. It would be hard for those contracts to go higher. Let me see. Which exact ones were they? They were 1250, 716. Yeah, so if we look here, guys, I'll send you a screenshot. So we don't know if he's buying or selling these. We just know that it's an unusual order. If he was selling, though, I would assume he would suppress these down and he would not let them continue to rise against him. And he started buying these, and the price is just continuing to go up. So it looks like he's buying them. It doesn't look like he's selling them.
Did he buy more today?
I don't think so. Let me see. What's today? 6:25. No, I don't see any more.
You see anything on the CCIV chart that stands out?
No, but I do know they're switching over to Lucid though. I'm pretty sure, aren't they? Aren't they switching to Lucid pretty soon? So maybe he thinks it's gonna skyrocket into that, or maybe he just wants to be assigned. See, I don't know how these SPACs work. I'm not very experienced in SPACs, so I don't understand. Like, if he gets assigned all these shares on CCIV, this is just a SPAC. This is not actually a share. So what happens when it switches over to the actual share of Lucid? I'm not entirely sure. So that might be part of his play. Yeah, I know it switches over, John, but is it like a 1-to-1? Like, are they exactly the same? Because these are contracts. Like, the SPAC is a contract. This is like a $10 contract, right? It's not a share. So they have to do like some kind of calculation to determine how many shares you get per SPAC contract, right? Oh, his options switch over. I didn't know that. So the options on CCIV will switch over to options on Lucid. That's interesting. Yeah, I'm not sure how that's going to work.
Did they announce the date that that's going to happen?
I think they did, but I'm not sure what it is off the top of my head. How much does it have to go up for him to make his profit? Anything. It could go up $1 and he would make a shit ton of money. He is very high delta, so it doesn't have to go up a lot. It can go up literally $1 and he'll make a lot of money. Can I look at Starbucks? Let me take a look. Starbucks looks very similar to a lot of these companies right now. You're breaking a downtrend and you're trying to reclaim the 50. So once it reclaims
Starbucks, baby.
it's not bad. It doesn't look too bad. Once it reclaims the 50, it will look a lot better. Yeah, so that delta,
Starbucks goals.
yeah, those should pay. That delta, Poncho, being 99, that's maxed out basically. It cannot go higher.
Pancho.
Can I look at CLNE? Let's see. CLNE is also a similar chart to what we were talking about. Breaking a downtrend. Have a nice little flag right here once you reclaim the 50. And now we're bouncing off the 21.
I like CLNE.
Yeah, it's got very low volume. I think we were talking about this morning. Just as low volume. If it gets more volume, the low volume is good though. Like, you want to see low volume on a sell-off. So if it starts to climb here and it has higher volume, this looks really good. This low volume is only scary if it starts to climb and you don't have volume. But when you have high volume on the spike and then low volume on the sell-off, that's what you want to see. That's a perfect bull flag.
There's actually a lot of volume on the CLNE contracts today.
Let me see if I can find any flow.
I like the chart.
Yeah, the chart's not too bad. It's actually a decent amount of calls coming in. A little small size, though. The biggest ones are 15s for July 16th. $15 call, July 16th.
I would play it safer than that if it was me.
They're all spread out. There's like 15s, 12s, 10s, 13s. Yeah, they're all spread out. These look like smaller guys, though. No big money guys buying these.
I would probably do the 12s.
Yeah, 12s aren't too bad. Yeah, Baidu's one of my favorite charts right now. Mucky. Baidu is fantastic. We called out Baidu as well in Discord when that call flow started to come in. One of the craziest charts right now. I forgot to put this on my watch list. Put it on here. Not craziest charts, excuse me. Craziest flow. I posted this on Twitter as well. Look at Expedia. Look at the 7-day flow on this. Let me remove these filters. Look at these things coming in. These are leaps for 2 years out. So this guy's betting on 2023. And he's put in like 10 million so far in the past 2 days. The 195s. He's just flooding these things. He started buying them at 24 all the way up to 25. He even started buying them at 22. So he's getting paid already on his initial investment, but he's buying pretty heavy up here. Let's see what these things are going for. If you guys like long-term stuff, I would keep an eye on that. He knows something.
How's today been?
Pretty good. The contracts are currently going for 25.15, so he's a little underwater on his last order, but everything else is green. Here's a chart on these too. You guys can see kind of what he did to this. So all these big spikes in volume, that's the guy buying these contracts. And now we're kind of leveling out. Very unusual. The chart does not look bad either. It kind of looks similar to Starbucks. The weekly's bouncing right off the 21 EMA. Complete retrace candle too.
Ooh, Tesla sucking back into the devil's pivot.
Yeah, it's probably going to retest.
Been driving all day. I was wondering when it would go back there. It kind of blew right through it. I'm like, wait, what? There are a lot of puts coming in this afternoon on Tesla.
Yeah, so the delta doesn't matter too much. Well, it still matters, but the delta, what you're mainly focused on leaps is the vega, the volatility. The farther you go away, the higher your vega is, which means the more volatile it gets, you get paid more or you lose more. So like, it's kind of confusing. I have videos on this in the Discord. If you guys are in the Discord, make sure to go to the mentorship section. But vega is how much you're going to get paid on implied volatility. So for every 1% move in implied volatility, that's how much you're going to get paid. So the farther you go away, the more your vega is. So when you're taking leaps for 2 years out, he's betting more on volatility than he is on price. He doesn't really care about price that much. He wants to see an increase in volatility. So what that tells me is, I think he knows something's about to happen. Like there's some kind of news announcement, partnership, something that's going to spike the volatility is going to happen within the next say 6 months. Because if it does happen, he's going to get paid massively on Vega, even if the price doesn't move that much. Yeah, the Vega's 86, implied volatility is 38%. So if the implied volatility spiked to like say 50%, he's getting paid massively. The price could even go down and he could make money because the volatility goes up. That's the benefit to leaps, is you're playing more on the volatility than you are on the price movement, which is the delta. There's 3 major ways to play options. You can play the volatility, you can play the price move, or you can play the time decay. If you want to play the time decay, you want to play high theta strategies. If you want to play the volatility, you want to play high Vega strategies. And if you want to play the price move, you want to play high delta strategies. More of these IQ lottos coming in, 1650 lottos for July 23rd. Not too big size, so they're not highly unusual. What did I say, 1650? Yeah, 1650. Let's take a look at these. So if you guys, I've said this before on stream, if you guys can chart options themselves, like not charting the stock, charting the actual option, you can see where these orders are coming in. You can see these big spikes in volume. There's 3 spikes in volume. And if we go to Cheddar, we have 3 options coming in. You see that? Where's that image? I lost that image. Here it is. So somebody's buying these up. They started buying them around like 65. They bought more around 65 again. And they bought more around 72. These are in my poor man's lotto filter. These are lottos that are less than $1. Can I check MCW? I think I saw that on the call scanner. That just IPO'd today. Didn't I see that on here? I'm pretty sure I did. Let me see. No, I did not. Never mind. Jesus. You can't actually see that on an option scanner because there are no options. So when things IPO, they do not have options typically for at least a week or 2. So those are actually not going to show up on the options flow. So keep an eye on this. This will get options most likely within the next 2 weeks. If they are going to release options, which they most likely will. Not much I can tell you about this right now, though. Not a whole lot of price data. If you look at the 5 minutes, kind of putting in a head and shoulders. So it could go lower. If we break back below like 2050, 2035, probably going to go back down. For now, it's holding support. So it looks okay. You're still holding the 21 EMA. That's not too bad. Yeah, not a whole lot I can give you on this because of the chart being so new. I could give you fib targets. So like if you looked at this, these would be your major supports, like $20.17, 1977. If we break back above 22.29, you're going to see 23.50 and then right around 24. So those would be the fib levels you look for. Major support right around 1977. Keep an eye on ZIM. I called this out yesterday. Sadly, I did not see the pullback today. That would have been a great entry. It pulled back to retest that pivot. I did not catch that. So that would have been a good entry. You could have popped out of that. It's already up 7.5% from that pivot test. So that's beautiful. This most likely will continue. These are the kind of moves that continue for a long period of time. Very similar to Costco, but Costco is struggling right around this previous all-time high. Another very common pattern that you guys want to get used to is this pattern right here. When you have like a topping pattern, like kind of like a rollover top, and then it turns into a massive sell-off, but then you see the V reversal. Once this starts to V reverse, as long as this trend is pretty stable, which this one is, it loses trend a little bit, but it quickly reclaims it. As long as the trend is stable, it will almost always retrace to the sell-off point. So like the sell-off point on this was right around like 392, 395. So once we saw the sell-off, it gave us that V reversal. We could, if you're like a long-term trader, you could target that as your overall target. And you could apply this chart to basically anything during COVID, and those targets have been hit. Pretty much everything that sold off in COVID retraced to the sell-off point. And you could look at like ES is a great example. So like the indexes, SPY and Qs, you have that kind of rollover top, that sell-off there, massive downtrend. Once you started to V reverse, that would be your overall target. And we're way past that at this point. CLF, nothing has really changed on CLF. I've seen that on my scanners the past few days. Getting a little bit of volume thanks to the infrastructure bill. Nothing has really changed. You're really just watching that uptrend. As long as you keep that uptrend, it will slowly go up. It's just very choppy. It doesn't like just going up. When it goes up, it's going to chop its way up. Teladoc, I think we mentioned before. Yeah, so Teladoc, we mentioned a couple days ago. It was breaking the 50-day moving average. So as long as this trend holds that created the bottom, this will continue higher. Yeah, FUV is one of JMA's plays. Very, very strong move on that. Massive short float too. It's got a 41% short float, 6 days to cover. It's only a 600 mil market cap too, so that thing could explode. It's not even getting started yet, really. Like, this is just the beginning. If it gets above this pivot here and starts breaking like 17, 18, this thing could squeeze very rapidly. It has a 40% short float, one of the most shorted stocks on the market right now. Five-minute Fisker. Let me see. What's Fisker? It's FSR. It's funny. I have terrible fucking memory, but for some reason I can memorize all the tickers. Like the only thing I can remember. So the daily looks good on Fisker. He broke out of that bull flag. Got a couple of dojis. This is what I call micro pullbacks. Like I always told you guys, you do not trade inside micro pullbacks. So like this right here, you do not trade inside this. So until a strong break or a close happens above or below that pullback, it's just all chop. But you asked about the 5-minute. Let me see. You said 5-minute. Is that a head and shoulders? Not really. It's too choppy to really be a head and shoulders. Maybe like a higher time frame. No, not really. It's just kind of a failure of a top. You tried to break out of this distribution. This became a deviation, and now we're back into the range. So this becomes a range. So let me... Here, I'll do it over here. I'll make it easier. So to clean up the chop, I would go to a higher time frame, probably like a 15-minute. And then you take the high of the range to the bottom. So for a distribution, you always want to take the high first. So you can either take this high here or this high here. I would probably take this one because that one's a very strong wick. So I would take that one, and then you could go down to like here, because that's where this sell-off started to bounce. So this becomes your distribution. That's your high, that's your low. Everything after that could be traded based on that range. So this becomes a deviation. So what a deviation is like you try to lose the range, but then it comes back. So this is a buy signal right here. And then same thing here. This becomes a deviation. And this becomes a sell signal. And then we just lost the 50% of the range, which is another sell signal. So that means there's weakness here. So what you would be looking for is a bounce somewhere around here. If it doesn't bounce there, then you're going to retest the low of the deviation, which is there. And then if you don't bounce there, it's going to go down to whatever the next support is, which would be like the gap right there. And I've got videos on that, so if you guys want to learn more about that, just watch my how to trade playlist on YouTube. My accumulation distribution videos. It will go over basically everything I just said. Costco getting a little bounce here. 10 minutes until the close. Massive buying on BABA, is there? Let's see. Oh yeah. Good call. We saw call flow on that today. And I just said that it looked good on the weekly. There's your weekly resistance coming in, the 228. If you get above this, you should be able to see like 250. What was that call flow? Let me see if I can pull that up. Let's see. We have actually a lot of puts coming in. The calls are 220 for August 20th, 225 for January, 220 for July 2nd, 225 for August 20. So basically everyone's betting around that 220 range. We actually just had Baba come in on the regular scanner without my filters. What was that? 230 calls for July 2nd. More just came in, 240 for August 40th. Getting a lot of Baba. New call just came in on my filters. July 2nd, $91 calls for ARC G. Great information. I appreciate that, Vega. Whoa, 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 whoa. Look at Q's. Q's is on fire. Something's going on. Something is happening. Is this being driven by big tech or is this news? Let's see. Whoa, look at big tech. Trump said he was announcing something about big tech today. Is that what's going on? Let me see. What's happening? I don't see any news on Walter Bloomberg. I don't see any news on First Squawk. Anybody in stream? You guys have any news? What's going on here? It's too late in the day for Fed meetings. It's not a Fed meeting. Oh, you know what it could be? I forgot about the rebalancing. Could be the rebalancing on Russell. Yeah, I think it's the rebalancing. I'm not seeing any other news. Let me turn the sounds off real quick for this. Let's see what's coming in right now. A lot of IW inputs coming in, actually. SPY puts coming in, IW inputs. Of course, I closed my hedge today. If we're looking at the orders coming in today, anything over 100K, the flow is very bearish on the indexes. .5 to 1 put to call ratio, meaning there's twice as many puts as there is calls. That block on IWM is pretty big there. July 2nd, 229 puts. I'll post these in the channel. If you guys want to look through those, I posted them in the Cheddar Flow channel. Hey, how we going, Poncho? Lots of IWM. They're not liking the rebalancing. They're not liking the rebalancing at all. The biggest premium ones that came in today, 3.4 million in puts on IWM January 30th, 218. Q's puts, 350 puts August 20th. And then IWM again, 229 July 2nd. Now, most of the time, there's a lot of this action that comes in on these indexes that you basically just ignore. Because you have a lot of people selling these as well, not just buying them. So it's really hard to differentiate if these are being sold or bought, because most of the time you're going to see a lot more selling action on these indexes than you would on like shit like CCIV, right? So you can't really just look at this and go, okay, it's very bearish flow. We're probably going to nuke next week. That's not always true. If we look at the technicals, the indexes look very bullish. I think SPY and Qs, IWM, they all look decent. Pretty nasty sell-off on IWM, but SPY looks pretty good. Qs looks pretty good. Qs might come back for a small gap fill, but overall, it's very, very bullish. Like I have been saying, SPY and Qs, any of the indexes, they don't like leaving gaps around all-time high. So these gap ups that we've put in the past few days most likely will be filled before we go higher. So we could see a micro pullback next week, fill some of these local gaps, and then go higher. But I wouldn't be calling for like a macro top here. But all right, guys, I'm going to call it on that. I appreciate you guys being here. I'm going to do one last little alert here for the subscribe. There we go. I will be releasing the weekly watch list on Sunday, so make sure you guys check out the video probably around 4 p.m., 5 p.m. Eastern on my YouTube. If you guys are new here, it's called The Summary of Markets. I do a weekly watch list every single week. So like I said, going to be coming out around Sunday, 4 p.m., 5 p.m. Eastern. Then back on Monday, we'll have the scanner stream. We're going to start that back up on 9:30 in the morning. That's going to go until our 3 p.m. stream for our analysis stream. But all right, guys, you guys have a good weekend. I'll catch you guys on Monday.